Hello, Omis. Welcome in to another powerful episode. Today, we are diving into the topic of desires. And when you just hear that word, there's a big charge around it that could come from past conditioning and the old paradigm that we are stepping out of. Desires had an old meaning that is being evolved, we're shedding, and we're stepping into a completely new perspective on what it means to desire, what it means to acquire a desire, to live in the presence of your desires. And this episode is here because you have desires right now that are very active on your heart. And they are coming from a place of purity, from a place right within your heart chakra, your soul essence. And there is a powerful reason as to why it is you are meant to follow this desire. Today, we're going to talk about the shift that has happened with what desires used to mean and what they mean now, and also why it is important for your own individual journey to follow your desires and what this does for the collective. There's so much juiciness in this episode, and you're just going to walk away from it feeling so ready to fully claim the desire that is on your heart. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the episode.
Hello, Omi. Welcome into this episode of the Out of Our Minds podcast. You're here hanging out with the girls, Nikki and Bella. Today's episode is going to unblock an energy that maybe you didn't even know was blocked. And so many things are going to click and hit for you when it comes to your desires and your wants and your dreams and your aspirations and all of this beautiful energy that you have likely been hearing and noticing more in your being, getting these hits about what you want in life, and maybe simultaneously feeling that chatter of the mind come up and say, no, we're not allowed to want that, or no. Desires are not, we can't do that. That's too much, right? Or you have enough already. Why do you want, right? Shaming ourselves for these desires. And you have found this episode because there's a very strong, powerful reminder and message that is ready for you, that you are ready to receive. And what we want you to know, first and foremost, about the concept itself of desires is I kind of want to break this down and get it back down to basics, because to contextualize this is not just an experience that's happening to you. The whole planet is healing right now. Many, many things. And one of those things is our whole entire relationship to our wants and desires. And we're looking at the almost like feelings, the visions, the downloads that we're getting, and we're noticing what we think about those things. And so what I want you to really feel into and listen with your heart, listen with your whole body as I share this. Your desires are truly one of the most pure and sacred ways that the divine communicates through you. Not only that the divine communicates through you, but how life itself does you a favor by giving you, showing you something that starts to like tickle your body and your mind and is like, ooh, that's interesting to me. Ooh, I want that. Ooh, I desire whatever that vision is. And in that moment, you are literally having your whole energetic body, the entire mind, body, soul complex that makes up who you are. You're having all of its cylinders and engines turn on and getting you to literally move and direct your life force energy into something that is aligned for you. Think about when a little kid has a desire. It is so pure. It is actually really beautiful to witness a child that is so tapped in to their sacral energy and wants to go and try this and go and try that. And they're excited by this. And you say, hey, Timmy, you want to go to the park today? And they're like, yeah, that is so pure. That is so alive in children because it is a pure expression of life force energy moving through human beings. And when human beings let that energy actually start to move and they let themselves, they have permission for themselves about what they desire, that is what contributes to a world of lit up beings who are doing what they really came here to do. And what I want you to understand here is the very concept of desire has been very distorted in our reality and in our planet and in our societies, because there's obviously the times when we desire or want something that is essentially ego based or fear based, or we're just wanting it because we think we should. Like, we are not even thinking about it. We're just like, seems like that's a cool thing to have in my life or to do. I guess I'll go and do that. And there's like no actual physical, energetic activation behind it. And that's why you have all these people in jobs or occupations or even in like relationships or whatever it is that is completely inauthentic to them. And it's not that there was ever a problem with the thing itself, the job itself, the creation. It was the energy put behind it. So one thing I'll add in, and then I would love to have Nikki jump in here and start to really color this conversation in many ways, is to make a quick differentiating note between wants and desires, because it's really powerful to just build a new world in your mind. And this is what we do on the podcast, is we're building really this new world around, who we are as people, what we do in this life, how we do it, why we do it. And something that you can understand, and this is very much informed through human design, which really helps us to understand what our energy centers govern, how they work, and especially for each individual, how to best tap into the highest potential of the energy center. So the two that will always come to mind in a conversation about desires and wants is the sacral energy center, which I mentioned in that really like clear feeling of this literal like motorized feeling to go and check that thing out and to apply and funnel your life force into something. So as an adult, that is looking like the desire for, imagine like a project idea comes to you and you're like, wow, that is so cool. What do you think? You're like, I want to then literally physically and energetically interact myself with that thing. That's desire. That's literally all it is it's directing your life force energy, which is always moving, to the place that it's going to be best used, that is going to benefit the most people, that's also going to just get you into alignment. So imagine when you block that, it's that feeling of overthinking, of feeling stuck, of being disconnected from your creativity, of listening to what everybody else says, of following a status quo instead of tapping into that well, that literal engine that wants to get moving and interact with the world around you. That's desire, kind of in a nutshell. And more specifically, how I'm explaining this is through that human design system, so you can understand almost like scientifically how these energies are moving in you. Now, wants originate in the heart/ego center. And this is why we have the saying, the heart wants what it wants. And wants are a little bit less about just the creative use of life force energy. And it's more that pure directional that is either going to show you, invite you to ask yourself what is underneath that, right? So when you want a bag, like a handbag or a car or something, and it's less about like the excitement of it and more just like, I just like want it. I don't know why. I just want it. That is an invitation to either own the want and to just be like, okay, I'm either going to spend my time, money, energy to acquire this thing, or to get to the deeper why behind it of, oh, it symbolizes to me that I can afford the thing, or it symbolizes to me, status. And maybe that's where you say, oh, is this a true want or is this my ego want? Or maybe you're like, yeah, I like the idea of having, a fancy car because I think it's cool and it makes me feel excited for whatever reason, right? So desires, though, I think is really the focus here, because that's where it's really about this like life force and this, you can even bring in the concept of curiosity in a way where it gets you moving. It gets you moving and it gets you interacting with your field, whether that's just through you sitting and visualizing that thing, you doing that thing or achieving that thing or whatever that means to you, or you literally moving your physical body and therefore moving your energy and your intentions and your thoughts onto something that is absolutely divinely meant for you.
I'm like, ping, 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 ping. It's all fucking hitting. Wow. Thank you for that because I'm getting so many light bulb moments. But I have a question before I dive into what is coming through for me. Do you feel like intuition speaks to us through desires?
I'm going to say yes, but it does vary a little bit, I think, per person. But yes, because I think in the broad sense, it is in the bucket of intuition and in this whole idea of not thinking about it so logically of like, well, if I do this and then I do that and then this, right? That is a different animal than almost the inexplicable feeling of why you want to do something. And so, yes, absolutely. I think the desires are revealed either sometimes very mechanically through your form of intuition. Like if we're talking about human design, like a sacral, a generator with a defined sacral, like very much your intuition in terms of decision making is straight up your desires. And if you feel that ooh for something or you're repelling it, but more broadly for everyone, it's like, yes, your intuition and those downloads, the visions that you're getting, right? This is many languages of intuition are absolutely going to give you the clues about what you desire in life.
Yeah, it's almost like it's planted in the heart, and then you use your intuition to decide if that is the thing. And that's when it becomes like the desire actually becomes supercharged by the intuitive knowing. So, for like an emotional
Yeah.
like me, when a desire is planted in my heart, I almost get to like check myself on where it's coming from by using my intuition. So then I'll feel the excitement. And if it's coming from just that love, like I bought a handbag that I really liked, and this was like a big purchase for me, but just connecting what you were saying, it really symbolized like me and the abundance that I was bringing in and just like my independence, and it felt so good to have that, and now that thing acts as a symbol for something that is really soul aligned for me, and I kind of used my intuition in that moment to confirm that. So I guess I'm answering my own question here just based off of the way that you responded to it too. It's kind of like the desires planted in the heart, and then you use your intuition to kind of check and feel. And most of the time, this process is very intuitive and in flow, and it feels like one hit. But that kind of is the process of what's happening, right? Like it's planted within here, and then the intuition comes online to be the little checkpoint.
Yeah, I think that's accurate to say. I think like 100% this is essentially the summary of what's happening, and I'll just add if anyone is curious about like how this actually plays out in the body and is like differentiated between, heart versus sacral versus whatever, is the heart is kind of like, I mean, we had a whole episode on the heart, right? And it's this whole idea that it will receive a vision, it will receive a literal want, and it will direct you toward that. And when it comes down to like that motorized, I mean, the heart center is also, we qualify as a motor, right? It like really gets energy moving. So having a want also gets things moving. And I think what people can play with is how like the heart has this one resonance, and then imagine almost passing that want or desire through the filter of your excitement of your sacral. This will work especially well if you have a defined sacral. You can still feel this sense of, excitement for desire with an undefined sacral, but it's like, imagine this is what happens when we tap into like the different centers and we almost translate the vision, the idea, the thought, whatever, the energy really is the best way to put it, through our different like centers, right? So like in the crown, it's very much this inspiring, uplifting, it's very much slightly visual but more felt in this like grand connection to all things. In the third eye, it's very visual. It's very like the download of what you see yourself doing. So then the heart is the version that's like the want and the like the I think you associate it more with almost the physical material thing, because that material world for us is very much, tied in with when we bring spirit to it. That's what makes it divine and beautiful. And then the sacral would be like the very pure, like, ooh, childlike, that's so cool. Another way we can think about it is like the sacral ultimately governs sexual desire too. So that is like a very different almost signature than like the crown, the mind, or the heart. But all in all, absolutely, it's like the want, the vision could be planted in the heart. And that for a lot of people, like we know, is actually what opens you up to owning that, and then seeing how the whole point of what I'm saying here is that there's a whole like energetic dance happening in your vessel, and that's what gets you in flow and moving and grooving, and you're getting the download, you're getting the movement, you're getting this, you're getting that. It's all happening because it's all playing and like unlocking energy in all of your centers. And when you want that to be fluid, and that's why to own and accept and go quote unquote after the desires is what gets all of this moving.
Okay, this is so good. And you said one thing about letting you said something about spirit or soul fueling the desire, right? Something like that you just said.
Yeah.
So I'm getting a visual come through, and it connects into why I believe we're almost going through this collective healing of being able to claim our desires, because you
Yeah.
alluded to this in the beginning, but I want to just drop in a little bit deeper. We as a society are awakening, we're becoming more in tune with our spiritual energetic selves, and with that, we're kind of shifting the way that we do everything. The consciousness behind everything we do is shifting, and desires is one of those it's one of those categories. And when I think back to the energetics of a desire maybe in the past and what we were kind of conditioned to believe, why we were conditioned to believe desires are bad, and I'll just kind of speak for myself there because I feel like it can be different for everyone, but I definitely feel like I started to develop these codes and programs when I was younger about wealth and desiring wealth. And when I think about that, it's because desires at that point were a thing that we thought would bring us soul. We thought it would bring us interconnection, but it was fueled by the ego. So I'm imagining like the desire is out there, and it is fueled by the ego because we're not as connected to our soul. We're not understanding the fullness of who we are. And we're assigning the desire as the thing that's going to bring us our soul. It's going to let us tap into our spirit. And the fuel that we were using to get there is fear and attachment and this kind of sticky, dense energy, which actually is not inherently wrong, because with
Right.
the laws of karma, you will always balance out in a way that's very divine. And now we're moving into this perspective that, not perspective, it's a full fucking awakening of remembering who we are as souls that is allowing us to play with desires in a completely new way. Because now, where we thought soul is out there, we're going to receive our spirit and our essence and our happiness and our joy. I'm calling it soul is out there, but what we were defining it as in the past is like joy is out there, fulfillment is out there,
Right.
which is the essence of our soul, right? So that's why I'm just filling that word in there. But now we're understanding that we are the soul. It's like the essence of who we are is joy, is peace. So we're feeling that within, and then these desires come alive. And here's the magic of it. Now we get to fuel the desire with the spirit. And when you fuel your desire with the spirit, like someone who is acquiring wealth and they're in alignment with this career that just lights them up, and they're acquiring wealth through this process because they are tapped into their spirit and they're understanding their soul essence. Money is inherently neutral, but it amplifies whatever energy we're putting behind it. Now the spirit gets to come in and fuel that desire and push that energy out in a way where that person, like we both, for any of you guys who don't know, there's a creator named Jamie C, and she teaches coaches how to make like online courses. And she talks a lot about wealth and how she's acquiring a lot of wealth through being in alignment with her purpose. And she helps other people do this by making online courses. And the way she speaks about how freely she gives money away, and a lot of people are triggered by this because they're seeing it as like, oh, she's like rubbing it in people's faces, but she's really here to wake people up to what happens when you honor your desires. And she is such a beautiful example of money being amplified by spirit and money being amplified by love. And she'll share how she donates a shit ton of money, how when she's walking in New York City, she'll give homeless people like thousands of dollars. and she's bought houses for like family members. And you can tell it's coming from such a soul-centered place when she's speaking about this. And I'm using this as an example because you can see how when you're honoring your desires, it literally is the fuel that builds
Yeah.
a new earth. And where in the past a desire was something we thought would give us wholeness, we're now using the desire to amplify our wholeness to, one, spread that energy outward, two, to wake up other people, and three, to have fucking fun. And
Yes.
now I'm just really this is like a big awakening I've been going through over the past few weeks. And I had a pretty massive healing around this. For those that are listening, Bella knows about this, but I've had a pretty massive healing around perceiving wealth as something that is like acquiring wealth as something that's greedy. And it's been this huge wake up call where I'm recognizing, wow, desires are actually neutral. And it is the consciousness and the energy that you put behind it that allows the desire to be a vehicle of amplifying that energy. So when you honor your desires and you allow it to come from a place of fullness and wholeness, you're actually contributing more light to the collective. And if we disown our desires, and if all of the people who are tapped into their heart and tapped into their soul are disowning their desires, what does that do for us? You know, I'm just thinking about how it kind of, it's like a leak in the hose where that energy is not actually being amplified outward. And to see also that you being in alignment with your desires doesn't take away from anyone else. That is a lack mindset, because we live in this
100%.
abundant reality where you being in alignment with your desires and amplifying them through your spirit actually serves the collective.
Yes. Yeah. So many good things in there. Yeah. I think what it is like, for one, the example you brought up of Jamie C. And I think it's a really important self-awareness sign for anyone listening that if you find that knowing about or seeing somebody else's desire or the way that they quote unquote go after something or what they're essentially like interested in is very like, it causes like a contrast of like rejection to the whole concept of, for example, money is such a good one because it has so much conditioning around it. That is a really beautiful place to reflect on where you are rejecting your own desires there. And what I was realizing as you're saying is exactly. And what it is that it's the object of the desires are neutral. And what enlivens it is the fact that it is a pure desire. So I was thinking this whole time how it's like, we want people to be accountants who are like obsessed with numbers and love that shit. Like there are people out there who like, think about just any great mathematician, polymath, who is like literally so enlivened by being in the world of math and like this and that. I'm thinking of Robert Edward Grant, and he is a polymath and he's like loves that world, but he's so soul driven that he now just like changed our collective's perception of almost like that whole entire field. And that is the collective effect of when each individual honors what they actually want, what they actually desire, what they think is freaking cool, no matter if other people think it's cool or not, or useful or not, or whatever. That is what changes the planet.
Right.
And yeah, it's just so powerful because it's like you're saying, it's a mirror of when we see, you know, other people's desires, other people owning what they want to do or whatever life path it is, we get to then, the more that we truly own and are grounded in what we want and what we desire and our version of, you know, an abundant life, a good life, a success or whatever, that is what then frees up all this energy for everybody else to find their thing. And that is world changing 1000%. And it like you're saying, it almost like drops everybody into their correct pathway. And it doesn't matter what the pathway is. Everyone is doing it from pureness of what they are interested in. Like there's like fucking 4-year-olds who are fascinated by, I don't even know, rocks. And like, it's like,
avocados.
Yeah, that's your thing, dude. Yes. And it's like, that's just the proof. Like this is such a great experiment. Actually, someone could really, it would be interesting if you are exposed to like a lot of, you know, young children to see how they really do have this pure sense of what they're interested in. And there's very little conditioning at that very, very young age, unless, of course, there can be like parents already coming in and directing them. But it's really cool to see how already from that young age, you have children finding themselves interested and desiring like different, quote unquote vocations and life paths. At that age, it's not even about it being a job, but like clearly there's an energy moving them to land in a certain arena that they are meant to be in.
Mm. Wow. And just imagine we were all taught to follow that and what that authentic alignment does for an individual and then the collective.
Yeah, seriously.
There's also something to be said about how desires are truly divine when it comes to our evolution too. Because before acquiring a desire, there's an entire journey that unravels. And again, now that we're viewing it from a very high level soul perspective, when you're on that journey of acquiring a desire, you start to recognize that it's like not really about the desire. It's more about the journey of who you're becoming in the process.
Exactly. Yes.
And that's where this path gets so fun because you're able to detach from the result and the desire and make it this fun, immersive game where you're recognizing what part of yourself is being birthed through that process. And sometimes
Right.
what's being birthed is like an even deeper why and why you're doing the thing that you're doing. And maybe like your mission starts to come alive in a deeper way. And also, you're pushing the boundaries of what was once a comfort zone and expanding out. And that is what leads us to evolve as a species because that is such a divine process. And yeah, now I'm just seeing like even more how even if it was driven by ego or fear, there's divinity in the whole process of you're always going to learn more about who you are
Yeah.
in that process. It doesn't matter what the energy is behind it.
Yeah.
And I think that's
Right.
a thing that's like really, really, really clicking for me now. And when we claim, it's almost like the ego desires will dissolve when you really just let yourself dream and claim the shit that you actually want to claim.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And I feel like this segues into if there's someone that doesn't know what they want or feels like they just maybe haven't yet or don't have that loud feeling that we are describing the way we are describing. And I think maybe this is part of what you're getting at, or maybe this is a different thing, but to just also be okay with currently not knowing what you want or not having that clear feeling of the desire. Because, like Nikki is saying, what this journey is really about is becoming and becoming that authentic self. And the more that you just focus on the micro shifts of alignment, life actually will bring you that desire. And that could be as simple as a download that you get, or you meet someone that shares with you the career that they have or the lifestyle that they live. And then you're like, oh my God, that's what I want. Or you see it in a magazine or a movie or a TV show, or you hear it on a podcast, whatever. So I also think part of the conditioning came from most of the world, again with the human design aspect, doesn't have a defined heart ego center, which means having a consistent sense of what one wants is actually not the case for most people on the planet. So that's where, if you're in a state of almost like just finding the closest thing you can to convince yourself that you want, that is what has created sort of this confusion and distortion around wants and desires. So it's just to say that the whole point here is to honor what you are clear on right now, what is authentic to you. And then almost like that's where kind of cutting out the noise and taking a beat away from all the conditioning, all the shoulds, all the whatevers is going to bring that clarity and is going to spark that thing that you're like, oh, that's what I want to do in this life. And that's authentic to me versus just hopping on whatever bandwagon because you think you're supposed to know what you want right away.
This is why our desires will actually start to come alive while we heal. because the shoulds, the need tos, the have tos start to disappear when you realize why you're thinking you need to do something or why you're thinking you should do something. Because at the root of
Yes.
all healing is you recognizing that you're inherently worthy, you're actually eternally safe, and you're powerful beyond what your logical mind can comprehend. And
Mm.
you'll start to recognize, just even with us working in the healing space and talking to people on the regular about their desires, you start to realize that the things they thought they needed to do were actually a result of a fear. And once you dissolve that fear, you start to just be like, wait, what's happening here? Like, why am I doing this thing? And it becomes very clear with what it is you actually desire deep down. And this is like the activation of the heart that comes alive by cleaning up all of the
Mhm.
conditioning that was put on top of it. Exactly what you were saying. So I do want to say that to anyone that does feel like there's not a clear desire yet, start to think about the things that just don't feel in alignment to you, and then maybe start to question why it is you believe you still need to, have to, or should be kind of like engaging in that in life.
Right. Yes. So powerful. And the same is for the opposite, right? Of like, if you do have the desire present, but the voice of, I should not do this, it's not okay to want this, right? It's like the same thing of clearing that out to then actually let the energy move again.
Yeah. Yes. And to also think about, maybe there are some places in life where actions feel sticky. Like I'm reflecting on the healing that I had, where you're thinking about, how do I maneuver to do this thing? When really it's just the claiming of what you're desiring to like manifest through that action. I don't know if I'm describing this
Hmm.
properly, but really just owning that. Owning that. That's like the big message. Fucking own it.
Yeah. Yes. Exactly. Yeah.
And then this last point that I want to make here, and definitely contribute if something's coming through for you, is that we are stepping into a new paradigm. I know this is like something a lot of people will say. I don't know. The new earth term kind of gets like a weird rap. Have you ever like seen posts online of people being like, "Oh, new
Yeah.
earth, new earth," but we really are.
Anything that, yeah. People like new age, new earth, it gets a little bit, people just get a little,
I know. I'm trying to think of a
any,
term that would describe this so it's not so like almost like
I think
overdone.
new paradigm is more like, it's not as like charged.
Yeah. So the new paradigm that we're stepping into, it's happening. Whatever the fuck you want to call it.
Yeah, whatever, dude. We're just making a fucking label for it.
Yeah. No one knows how to kind of describe the bigness of what's happening. It is a requirement to follow your desires. It is a requirement to tune into your own intuition. It is really a requirement to be in alignment. And I just want you to think about how you claiming whatever desire is coming alive for you as you tune into this message, how you being lit up by that thing is what allows the world to light up, and it allows you to lead in a certain way. And when I say lead, I'm saying that you are giving other people the permission slip to follow what lights them up. And there's so much language on this path of fulfillment and purpose where we're thinking that desires just have to do with helping and being of service and coming into a career where you can give back to the collective. And I know we say this a lot, but some of you guys desire to travel the world or to knit sweaters and to bake and to just live a life that feels so good to you. And I just want you to really feel into the power that you owning your desires has on every single person that is in your community and your family and your friend group. And not only that, we're all connected energetically. So think about the impact that you leaning into that and allowing your soul essence to come out through that desire, what that does for the world and for this new paradigm that we're stepping into. And this is truly something that Bella and I are feeling so freaking lit up by. I can't even get over the timing of like us going into the portal in 4 weeks and talking about all these powerful topics on the podcast, and just we're kind of already experiencing a lot of shifts in the collective, and people are kind of freaking out over some things, and it's just exactly what we kind of knew would happen in 2025. And we're just seeing the power of alignment and the role that it's playing in this entire process, and honoring your desires is a part of that. And I do want to just add another note here that we still do have a few weeks for you guys to check out the portal if this is something that you're wanting to really integrate everything that we have been speaking about with desires and just owning your path of alignment. And next week, we're going to dive into an entire really powerful topic on just how to live in alignment in this new paradigm. So I'll leave that there, and I'll just pass it over to Bella to see if she wants to add anything else.
That was a slay. So yeah, thank you guys for listening. As always, message us, let us know what landed for you. And just a quick note, if you're not subscribed, if you're not following the podcast on Instagram, you're not following on Spotify, subscribed on YouTube, hit those buttons, give us a like, get on the bandwagon here. We ain't stopping anytime soon, okay? So we love you so much. Thank you for being here, and we will talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye.